Hey everybody, I'm gonna get stuff on here real quick. Let everybody hop on. I'm gonna be doing a cut crease today. It's gonna be a half cut crease. Let me see what I'm doing here. So as you hop on, make sure you say hi so I can make sure everything's working okay. Okay. Alright, so as everybody hops on, I'm gonna go ahead and get going. I figured a lot of people don't really know how to do this and they're not really sure where to even start with cut creases, so I figured I'd give you guys a little, hopefully an easy to understand how-to on it. So I'm just gonna get myself ready here. I gotta prep my eye with with some cream or some concealer. Hey everybody, hop on and say hi. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that going while everybody gets on. This is just kind of a basic thing to just prep your eye with something. You can use eye primer if you want, otherwise concealer and then setting it with a powder works just fine. Hi Carly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. We'll just kind of try to keep it as simple as I can. If you guys have any questions along the way, let me know. I will try to answer them the best I can. I'm just going to put some concealer right on my lid. Hey Kaylee! Thanks for sharing. I'm just going to get this on here. I like to use a light one so the colors really pop. And it's good for canceling out everything else going on the lid. Obviously I don't have any foundation or anything on yet. I actually like doing that when I'm doing really bold colors because any fallout happens, you can just wipe it up instead of worrying about wrecking a full face of makeup. I'm just pressing this in a little bit just to keep from creasing too much. How's everybody been doing? Everybody find out we're doing distance learning a bit longer for those parents who are doing it. I'm just going to do this real quick. So I'm going to do some fun pinks and purples and reds and blues. It's going to be a pretty bold look, but you can kind of use the tips just for any cut crease. I'll just show you with a bold look because it's a little bit funner to watch, and that's just kind of what I felt like doing today. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to put some loose setting powder. I love this Coty Airspun. This is one of my favorites. And it's actually really inexpensive at Walmart, so it's kind of a win-win for that one. I'm just going to take any poofy brush here and just set this. Hi, Christina. Coming on to see how to do a cut crease one day. I got to turn my sound off before I forget, and then it's going to be making noises on you guys. So I'm going to make sure I don't have any creases at all, because if you set those creases, they're going to stay there. So you just lightly tap with your finger, get any creases out, and then just pat it with the setting powder. Powder helps really well to help colors blend too. I like setting with a powder for that reason. So I'll just be showing you guys this eye look today, and then I'll get off camera and finish the rest of this. And then I'll just do a picture again like I did last time. Alright, now we're going to get going on the fun stuff. So a lot of this is going to be like mostly me like blending stuff, but I promise I'm going to get to the cut crease. It's just that has to be one of the last parts of this. Hi, Shauna. Say hi when you hop on.
Oh, no.
All right.
So, you know, help?
I am going to go ahead and start. What you want to do with the cut crease is you always want to start above the crease first and get all that done up. You don't have to worry about being super careful about the lid at this point because you're going to be taking concealer and putting it over it anyway. With a half cut crease, I'm going to be bringing the shadow on the crease in here a little bit more in the outer corner because my half cut crease is only going to go in the front half of my lid. So you guys will see as I go, but that's the easiest way I can think to explain it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the inner corner and work my way out on the crease line. And what I'm going to start with is this Jeffree Star Jawbreaker palette. And I'm going to use this color right over here, this red. I'm going to go ahead and start with that one. So let me grab the brush I want. I think I want to start with this brush. So I'm going to take a pointed pencil brush. And I'm going to just get that right on that inner corner of the crease. And I'm going to press it on because then I can get more pigment in one spot and I can blend this out later. These pencil brushes are really nice for that. They kind of have this pointed edge a little bit here to make it a little bit easier to focus your pigment in one spot.
Oh no. Wait.
I'm just going to bring it down. This is going to look pretty wild at first,
Thank you.
but these looks always turn out as like one of my favorites, these cut creases. I love the way they end up looking at the end. Just a little bit of a wild ride at first. So again, I'm pressing it and then I'm going to slowly sweep it just to get that color going a little bit more. You can go get it off of Beautylish. I don't think Jeffree Star's warehouse is delivering anything right now, but if you go on beautylish.com, it should be there. It is one of my favorites for sure. I need to start collecting more of his palettes though, because I really like his formula. Alright, so that's the start of that one. I'm going to go ahead and go into more of a pinkish maroon type kind of color. Sorry, I'm looking at my swatches. Oh, you can't even see them. Swatches on my hand because I was trying to figure out what colors I wanted to do. So I'm just trying to figure out which color it was I chose next. Make sure I got the right palette. Okay, so now I'm going to hop into the James Charles. This is, again, like one of my top. I use this one the most because it has so many colors. Hello, Nelma. So it's got all these colors, and I'm going to use this one right here. I do not know the names because it comes with that clear plastic coating on top of the names, and there's nowhere for me to keep that, so I don't have that one anymore, but it's this really pretty, like I said, it's like a maroon pink, this one right here, right there. I'm going to put that right next to the red. And I'm going to use the same brush because I kind of want the colors to blend together a little bit. So I wiped off most of the red that was left over, but I'm not super worried about it keeping it really clean. Beautylish, yes, beautylish.com. You spelt it right too, so that's where you can go. I'm pretty sure that they are still processing everything and selling or shipping things out. So again, I'm pressing this and I'm going right where this crease is. If you have hooded eyes where you don't really have much of a lid, you want to go above the crease so that you can see all these colors. Oh, you have the mini, yeah, so you're gonna, that's right, I do remember seeing that you posted that look you did had you used that. So I'm kind of just following this. Now that I got a lot of this pigment down, I'm just gonna I'm gonna just follow this. Later on, I'm going to be blending everything up so it's not just like super not blended. So now we're just working on getting these colors to blend together, and then I'll blend the outer edges of these colors. I'm using quite a few colors in this, so I'm not doing like super far out with each color. I'm going to put a little bit more of the same color just to really make it pop. Ooh, sorry, I'm shaking you guys. Hi, Trenda. I'm just lightly touching too because you don't want to add creases, if you pull too hard on your lid,
No.
you're going to start creasing the colors. So I'm really lightly touching everything. And another tip with this, when you're doing anything within the crease here, to have a mirror below you is best, because then you can look down in it and you're not dealing with your eyelid getting in the way of everything.
Here you go.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next eye, same way. I'm just going to tap it on first. And then I'll blend it in. And as you can see, I'm always lightly doing it, even when I'm tapping this on my lid. As you can see, it's kind of messy in here. You see that? That's okay, because we are going to be covering a lot of this up. And I'll also be blending some darker colors in the outer crease, or the outer corner, sorry, so not a big deal. So again, just kind of blending it into the red. I really like BH Cosmetics brushes. They're super, super soft. They're really affordable. Otherwise, Morphe brushes. Let me grab a few of these. A lot of my blending brushes are Morphe brushes. They're, again, affordable and really nice, especially their blending brushes. So those are my top 2 when it comes to brushes. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to do a purple, which again, I'm going to be using the same brush. I'm just wiping it off of on a piece of Kleenex, just getting all the excess. I'm not worried about making it super clean right now. And I'm going to go into the same palette, so my James Charles palette, and I'm going to go into this deep purple right here. This really pretty purple. And again, I'm just following the line of my crease, making these colors all blend together, but still have their own separate spaces. Hi, Jennifer. How you guys doing over there? So with this purple, this is where I'm going to start putting it into the crease, or onto the lid, sorry. I cannot think today, you have to forgive me. But, so I am going to bring this down with a bigger brush in a minute, but I want to make sure that this crease is exactly how I want it. So again, you can see I'm just kind of mixing the 2 colors right at the very edge where they meet. And I will just be bringing this over. Like I said before, if anybody has any questions along the way, let me know. I will try to answer them as best as I can. So this purple, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and then I will be bringing it down in just a little bit. So I'm just going to, again, blend these colors right where they meet. I don't want to put them too close together and end up having them blend to the point where you can't tell they're 2 separate colors.
Let's find a plug. Where?
I'm just kind of trying to see what line I'm doing on the other one. I'm going to make that a little more pigmented. The only downside to this palette, and Christina, I probably should have bought the mini one just for the sake of it, but that's the only downside to this one, is that it's just so bulky. But you get a really good deal by having so many colors in there.
No? A different plug?
Okay, so just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead, oh, I gotta bring this up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the purple into my lid a little bit more. So I'm going to take a different brush here. I'm going to go ahead and take, where's the brush I want? This super duper stained one. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put that purple onto my lid. Just on the outer corner there. We'll just set this right here. Okay, so again, I'm going to be doing the pressing motion and pressing it on, and then I will worry about blending it out later. So I'm just going to slightly brush it, but for the most part I am just tapping it on. And it's going to look super crazy. Like I told you guys, these cut creases, I think they have the craziest starting point, but then they have the biggest payoff. So that's one of the things I really like about cut creases. And you can do so many different things with them too. I feel like it's definitely a good thing for people to learn how to do. So again, I'm going to be putting that concealer in here. So not a big deal if you get messy with it. I'm just going to bring it in because I do want the cut crease to get to about halfway point on my lid. So we'll bring this in just to like the very edge of that purple on my crease. We'll probably have to go over that again one more time once I get that concealer on, just to make sure everything blends really good. But this is just a good way to kind of get it's kind of like mapping right now is what we're trying to do. We're trying to map out where we want all the colors to be. And then we'll go in and do the finishing touches once we have the map all done. I am adding one more color out here, so that's why I'm kind of leaving all of this right now. Because I got one more color I want to do. Can you guys guess the theme based on this? I have a theme I'm doing. Probably should have gave you guys that clue first so you guys could have tried to figure it out. But that's okay. I'm really pressing this in to try to make sure it's super pigmented. These things probably take the most time too, I would say, out of all the looks.
You're not doing anything at all in here. Get over.
Trying to see where my line is. Okay. So now I'm going to do that final color, and then we'll work on more blending, and then we'll finally get to that cut crease. And then I'll probably do a little bit under the eyes after all of that. But after that I'll get off and I'll finish the whole look. And then I'll send you guys pictures once I get that figured out. Okay, so the last color I'm going to do is this dark blue right here. I'm going to put that right on the outer corner. Oh, sorry, wrong blue. That's the one I decided against. I'm getting my Jawbreaker palette back out for the blue that I want. I want a little bit darker, so I'm going with this one right here, which is called Delicious. That's the one I want to do. So I'm taking my pencil brush again, and I'm going to go ahead and just, what I want to do is I want to make kind of like this, oh, how do I explain? Almost like a wing kind of a thing, or at least where you could imagine a wing would go. I'm going to go to that point. But again, one of the nice things about doing your eyes before your foundation and everything is that if you make any messes, you can just clean it up without having to worry about wrecking any other work you've done. So that's why I really like doing my eyes first. So again, I'm just pressing, and I'm just going to slowly blend it into that purple. And then I'll be working with that other brush again to get right in here to fill that in. Anybody know what theme I'm doing yet? I don't know if my lighting's good enough actually. Let me see. Is that better? Hopefully. A little bit brighter. I can't see very good because I usually wear glasses. So hopefully you guys can see okay. I'm going to go again with this brush in the same blue, and I'm just going to press this in right on this corner in here. And with this brush, I'm going to need to do it a couple times because as you can see, it's pretty patchy right in there. So we just got to cover it up a little bit better. And then what I do is I like to do a little bit of a gentle swiping in between to really make sure they blend in nice and well. It is not a character. Not a character.
Stand up. On your feet.
Good question though. We'll just turn this into a 50s question. 50, is it a 50 or 100 questions? What was that game? I don't remember. So again, I'm just pressing that in. And as you can see, I'm going to need to clean that up a little bit, but that's simple enough with some wipes. So I'm going to do the same thing on my other eye. Take that pencil brush with the dark blue. Press it right into here where the crease is. I brought the purple a little too far over, but that's okay because this blue, with me tapping it in, is going to cover that up just fine. 20s question, is that what it is? Why was I thinking it was so much higher? No idea. Trying to figure out what I want to do here. Right here. And then one thing I'm going to tell you guys right now, because you can probably see it from here, is if you have too much pigment on your brush when you're trying to blend those colors, you can see that blue is starting to cover that purple too much. All you have to do to fix that is wipe off your brush to get all that excess off. Even if it doesn't come clean, that's fine. You just want to get most of it off. And then you can just do light sweeping to just fix that up. And then you can always go in with the color that you start to cover too much and put more of that on if you need to. But you can see it's blended in a lot better now. Hopefully you guys can see. Again, I can't tell. With this bright light shining at me, you guys probably can see a lot better than I can. But with the bright light and then no glasses, it doesn't help me much, but I'm hoping it really helps with the video. So I'm taking a big brush again with the blue, and I'm going to put it on the outside corner way over here. And I'm just putting that on. The great thing about makeup is that if things don't work out 100% the way you want them, you can always improvise and change it up, and you can still make it turn out pretty darn good. So I'm just trying to make sure that these are blended really good here. Make sure there's no obvious line. Sometimes you want that in a makeup look, but not this one for me. I want it to look really nicely blended. Kind of make it so you can't tell where one color starts and one ends. I feel like I need to make that a little deeper. Any other clues or guesses or even questions about the actual, like, doing makeup looks? I'm here for it all. Doesn't really necessarily have to be about this look or anything either. I just like to help people with any of this kind of stuff. Alright, so that is kind of my map. What I'm going to go ahead and do next is I'm going to work on getting these colors to start to pick up a little more, and you're going to see that they're going to get kind of blown out. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take this Morphe brush. It's a really tiny, fluffy brush. This is really great for blending things out and then still keeping fine details in there. Patting is way better than swiping it on, 100%. Especially if you do really want pigments to pop, you want to pat it on, and then you can kind of slightly sweep it as you do that. just to kind of help give it this more of a blend and make it look a little less patchy. But you definitely want to pat to really get some good color in there. If you're going more for sheer, then swiping is okay, but you do have to worry about if it's going to go on evenly that way, whereas tapping you're able to actually like control how much pigment is going on each spot, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to go on with the same colors that I did and go in the same order. I'm just going to take some red, maroon, purple, blue, and I'm just going to kind of blow things out and really get them to blend into the upper brow bone right in here. So I'm going to take this red first, and with blending brushes, that's where it's okay to be sweeping, because that's kind of the point. You want to be sweeping it and blowing it up, but when you want to get that color on, you want to tap it on, or pat, whichever word you prefer to say. So I'm just very lightly, and again, that's another thing when it comes to actually sweeping, is you want to very, very, very lightly touch, because otherwise you have to worry about creasing. You gotta worry about getting lines that you don't want in there. So I'm going to, you can see I blew that up a little bit. The inner corner, I don't want it to go too crazy, so you can see I already blew it up a little bit. I'm gonna wipe this pretty clean. Trying to get as much of this excess off as I can. And I'm going to brush in the outer corner here, or the outer part of this color, to get it to blend out. Do you see how that's starting to kind of disperse? I'm very lightly doing super small circular motions to get that color to just blend into my brow bone. So like that, you can kind of see the difference here. That's what we're trying to do. How many brushes? Well, it depends. And no, don't be sorry at all. I love having all these questions. I like when people want to improve anything, and if I can help, I totally want to. But it depends on the look you're going for. If you want something with a lot of color, it's always best to have a lot of brushes. If you're going for something really simple, even if you're doing like 2 or 3 colors, if they're similar, you might be okay with just one. It kind of just depends. I'm trying to think of an example. Like for this cut crease, for example, I have been using a lot of brushes. Well, so far I haven't, I guess, but I have been using these 3 so far. I'm going to eventually, possibly as I get into this part here where it's a lot more space, I'm going to possibly be using this brush. I'm going to need this brush for setting my cut crease, and to place my cut crease, as soon as I find it, I just had it before, right here, I'm going to be using this brush. So this is how many brushes I'm using for my cut crease. You don't always need that many. Sometimes all you need is 1. And if I'm doing 1, I usually like to use a smaller blending brush. Let me see here. I would say even this one right here is a good enough brush to be able to use with a look where you're only using similar colors. You could definitely use this for most of your stuff. See, you have a lot but no idea what they're used for. That's perfect. You can message me anytime, seriously. And those are good questions you can ask during your makeup lesson too. We can go through all your brushes and we can talk about literally all of them, like whatever you want to do. That's kind of the nice thing about the way I have my makeup lessons set up, is that you get the option to really control what you want to talk about and what you want to do. Do not be sorry. Please, Christina, do not be sorry. I love helping. I would stay up all night helping people, even like the one thing I have a really hard time with is my closing time, because it's at 9 p.m., which is pretty late, you know? But if people are messaging me at 10, 11 o'clock, I have no problem messaging them if I'm already awake. So I have a hard time like deciding when to just give myself time to stop. While I'm chattering here, I'm going back into this maroon color and I'm going to start blending this one out. I'm just going to do one eye at a time so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So you can see I'm very lightly touching it again. just to blow it up a little bit. And I'm going to take a lot of this color off, and I'm going to blend out the edges. Yeah, ask away. Really, you can just ask away. I have no problem helping out. Anybody else feel like it's been really dry lately? Like my throat has been so dry since the snow has gone away. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But again, I've cleaned off this brush and now I'm just lightly sweeping in circular motions to get this color to disperse. And I'm also trying to make sure there's no harsh lines because for this look, like I said, I don't want any harsh lines at all. I'm actually going to take a little more color. I just very lightly tapped it in there. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking too, it's allergies, because that's the only thing I could really think of for this. It seems like allergies are really bad this year. So I'm just adding a little bit more color while still making sure it stays blended. So you can already see a major difference between these two. It's a lot more blown out and it looks a lot more blended versus this side. You can really definitely see this line here, whereas these two, I'm taking Kleenexes with me, these two you can't see a line. So I'm going to do the same thing, wipe down my brush really good, get into that purple, and I'm going to just keep going along. I promise we're getting to the cut crease. Thank you for bearing with me, everyone who has. If you guys want to see my videos, I'm going to be trying really hard to be doing this every week. But if you guys want to keep on top of it and make sure that you get notified, make sure you get on, you might be able to do it from here, I'm not quite sure. But any of my videos, you should be able to go onto it and click the bell and make sure you have it on all notifications when it comes to videos. Otherwise it does highlights and I'm not quite sure like what it decides as highlights right now. A good question with brushes, should you clean them daily? My answer for that would be you should always wipe them down, even with just like some wet wipes and a Kleenex. Always wipe them down every day that you use them. You should be washing them if you use them regularly once a week. You should be actually like deep cleaning, washing them. That's something that you should do because you would not believe how much bacteria actually gets stuck on your brushes. And a lot of times acne can just harvest just from those brushes not being clean enough. So if you're struggling with acne and don't really know what else it could be and you haven't tried cleaning your brushes recently, try doing that and keep up with it and just see if that helps, because a lot of times it does. With one of my clients, she like never cleaned her brushes, and then she started cleaning them after I talked to her about that, and her acne started going away. So it's crazy the little things that actually matter. So yeah, you should be cleaning them, deep cleaning once a week if you use them regularly. Otherwise I'd say every other week, maybe once a month if it's very rare that you actually use them. But always wipe them down so that they're not just sitting with a lot of stuff on them in between uses. So again, I'm just doing the same old, same old. Just getting this color to really get in here. I'm gonna blend this out. Almost done with this eye, at least for blending. We're getting there. I gotta get my blue. I put way too much on there, I can already tell. Okay, and I'm just gonna do the same thing. Right along the edge to get some pigment in there. Maybe I didn't put enough blue on. Some of these colors it's really hard to tell because they have such a different feel. Some of them are more, a little more hard, I guess would be my description, and other ones are more buttery soft. The harder ones tend to be a little bit harder to blend. And that's kind of what this blue is. It's not one of those buttery soft ones, so it can be a little more difficult to blend. But eventually you'll kind of learn to work with the colors. Let's see, I want more blue. I'm just trying to get this harsh line to go away right now. Okay, now I can blend that color out. I get way too finicky sometimes with my own stuff. It's ridiculous. Anybody else like that, where you're just like super perfectionist with yourself, and then other people you're like, oh no, 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 you look great. You look fine. I don't see anything wrong. And then you have one slightest thing wrong and you're like, oh, the whole thing is just ruined. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Probably not though. Okay, so there is one eye like that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the cut crease on this because this is getting to be kind of long. And then I can go ahead and do the other eye and you can stick around for that, or you can just say, hey, I got what I needed and hop off, but that's totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and get my concealer. What I really like to do for concealer is like to have a nice, really light color. And I actually really like this one. This is e.l.f., believe it or not. This is their 16-hour camo concealer. I love using this for cut creases because this is one of those that tends to kind of dry as you're using it. And when it comes to the cut creasing, you want it to dry so it doesn't crease really easily. So this is one of my favorites to use, and it's cheap and it's nice. I don't know, sometimes people think that you need really expensive stuff to do really dramatic things, but you really don't. So I just put a little bit of this on here. I might end up grabbing a little bit more, just right on my hand. And I'm going to take it's called a concealer brush, but sometimes brands call it something different. I gotta find it. I have it over here. All you need is a flat, see how flat that is? A flat, rounded brush. So this is one that I actually got when I was working with Younique. But there's a lot of brands that have these, even BH Cosmetics. They have them, but the BH Cosmetic ones are kind of fluffy, so I don't like them as much for that. But they could work. But anyway, as long as you find something that's really, really thin, rounded, and pretty stiff. That's what you want, is something stiff, so you have more control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap this right on here. I don't want a lot right now, so just a little bit. I'm going to put it right here, and then I'm going to look up. So you can see, I'm going to put a little bit more. When I look up, you can see where that wrecked, or that, I wouldn't say wrecked, but you can see where it hit there. That's how I know where my crease should be, so I don't have to worry about it creasing too much. So now that I have that mapped out, I can go ahead and start creating this half crease. And again, I'm pressing it on, and I'm just going to follow where that line goes. And like you can see, I'm looking down. So you can see where I'm starting to, you can see where that crease is starting to go there. Hi, Maddie. So I can start blending this out a little bit. But you want to make sure you're pressing when it comes to the edges here, because you want them to be as neat as possible. It definitely takes some practice and concentration, obviously. But once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. So I'm just doing this, following along. Just like that. I'm going to clean that up a little bit more, but you can kind of get the idea. I just want to round this out a little bit more. So like I said, you can see I'm just pressing that in. And then I lightly pull it towards the other part that I want it to. But like I said, this one dries as you go. So you want to kind of see where you have a lot of wetness still. And just use that as your excess because you don't want to use too much. This one, it's all about really knowing knowing your position, the way your hand is positioning that crease. This definitely did not just like be amazing my first try. This takes a lot of practice. And this is just a half cut crease. If you want to do a full one, you kind of bring it all the way out and wing it out and everything, but that's a half cut crease right there. So what I'm going to do is I want to set this still because it is still kind of wet. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to set it with a sparkly eyeshadow. I'm going to use, again, this the James Charles palette. And I'm going to use this color right here. And I'm going to take just a regular shadow brush. And I'm going to just, again, I'm going to tap that on. You guys can see that? That's what it looks like. So I'm going to just tap this on to help set it. If you want to leave it its color, you can always just set it with a loose setting spray. But I want a little bit of sparkle in this look. So I'm just tapping this on again because especially with shimmers, you want to be tapping it. A lot of times, at least not with a cut crease, but a lot of times when I do shimmers, I'll use just my fingers because they tend to get more pigment on there. But this one, I want that light to really come through. So I'm not looking to try to get a lot of sparkle. I just want it to be just kind of a hint of it. And I'm going to put it right on all of this concealer. And then all I need to do is take that purple again, and I'm going to just blend that into that shimmer a little bit. Just to make it look a little bit nicer. I'm going to use this fluffy brush again, this thin fluffy brush. And I'm tapping a lot of this color off because I just want to really lightly blend these together. Just like that. Just want to make sure I got it really good. The biggest thing is this takes a lot of concentration. That's the biggest thing. I'm going to take a pencil brush instead because that, again, this purple is one of those harder pigments, so it's not wanting to blend out really nice. So I'm just going to take this one and I'm just going to do really light sweeping motions right where those two colors meet. So I'm going to look super funny because I'm going to have one finished eye and one not, but it's all part of the process. This one is just, purples are so hard. Like if you ever have a hard time with purple, just understand it's just the color. Purples are really hard for them to manufacture, and then on top of that, trying to get them to be blendable just seems to be a struggle sometimes. So I'm going to leave it, I think, like this. Just going to put a little more blending in here. Just like that. So that's the cut crease. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now. And then, like I said, if you guys want to stick around for that, you can. Otherwise, that is what a cut crease, that's a half cut crease, is just like this. So I mean, I'm pretty much done. I'm going to put some liner on this as well later, but that's about all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I got to blend all these colors out again. before I forget, because that would look really funny to have like one blended eye and one like super solid stripe. So I'm just gonna take the same brush that I was using. I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. I gotta get the right colors out. Anybody have any questions about a cut crease at all? Since I showed you guys how to do it, anybody have any questions about it? Or just want to chat with me? Just tell me how things have been in quarantine. Tell me I'm not the only one going kind of insane. I'm ready for them to just open up salons already so I can get back to work. My poor brides are having to like start to reschedule their stuff and feel awful, but there's only so much we can do, right? So I'm just going through that same process I went with the other eye. Just trying to get everything out. So if you just started hanging around the second half and you want to see how I did the first eye, you can. Keep watching because you'll see. Just want to get some more color up in there. Okay, now I gotta get my other maroon color. These pinks are what tend to be more soft. I'd say the pinks and yellows, oranges, some of the warmer colors tend to be a little bit softer. If you're ever curious about that. I'm just trying to think of things to say since I'm talking to myself kind of over here. It's so quiet in my house right now. But as you can see here, the reason why I mentioned that is because you can see I'm easily adding more pink up in here. And that's just because of how soft it is, so it blends so much easier. So you definitely you don't need as much on your brush when you're working with pinks. I told you guys earlier that I'm doing a theme. If you can figure out that theme, let me know. I'm curious to see if anybody guesses it. Lucky, stop. Getting upset because all the kids are outside. So just blending in this purple. We're gonna blend this out. Just like that. And I'm gonna clean this up a little bit more. Get this color dispersed. You guys should tell me what you've been doing to keep yourself busy if you haven't been able to work as much, or if you don't have kids that are being social distance learning or doing social distance learning. Listen to me and my vocabulary as I'm trying to teach kids. So again, I'm going to just be blending this as I go. Same old, same old. I need to just start putting some music on while I'm doing this too. I try to keep it quiet so you guys can hear me okay, but it seems like almost too quiet. Right, I'm gonna get more blue because again, like I said, these ones tend to be a little more hard. So they just get a little more patchy more easily. And as I said earlier, you're able to actually like clean things up later on by waiting to do your face after your eyes. Okay, just like that, I'm going to go ahead and do the cut crease on this eye now to make them look a little more together. As you guys hop on, say hi. I'm going to show you guys the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of concealer on my flat concealer brush. Put it right in here. I'm going to look up. You can see where that line is. That's how I know how high up my cut crease needs to be. And I'm just going to start creating this cut crease. Like I said before, you just gotta really get some practice in with this one. Cut creases are not something that you can just all of a sudden do unless you're super talented. So just take your time, be easy on yourself. You'll get it eventually if you don't get it right away. So I'm just, again, getting this cut crease created. And then I'll be setting it with a powder. It takes a lot of concentration, so excuse the fact that I'm not talking much. Even me, as I've done them a lot, I still have to think about it really hard. Just like that. So you can see that's where the cut crease is, just like with this one. And I'm going to go ahead and start setting this in just a minute. The perfectionist in me has got to make sure everything's as good as I can possibly get it. Sometimes I feel like I have that, if anybody watches Jenna Marbles, you hear her talk about her too much gene. That's what I feel like I have sometimes. I worry too much and I feel like I should just keep going and keep going and keep going until I've gone too far. Anybody else like that? I cannot be the only one with Jenna Marbles who does that. Sometimes it's great, other times it's really bad for you. Alright, so again, I'm going to set this. I'm going to take just a simple powder brush. I'm going to take my light shimmer and I'm going to go ahead and set this by just tapping it right on where that concealer is. Just like that. And I'm going to do that until all the concealer is covered so that it dries and it doesn't crease anywhere. Just like so. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that purple in a little bit better. I'm just tapping this in just to make sure it's not getting kind of crinkly. Okay, if you guys hop on, say hi. I'm kind of talking to myself here. I need more interaction. All right, so I'm taking my purple and I'm putting it on my pencil brush. Same thing as I did before. I'm just going to blend in this line right here so it looks a little bit neater. I'm just super duper lightly putting more color right in here. Just where those meet. I'm going to take a little bit more of this color off. And I'm going to blend this in a little bit better right in here. Just like this. Make it look like they kind of just start getting together and not a super obvious line. Hi Stacy, you're eating and learning. Have you not tried a cut crease before, or have you tried it and just didn't like it? Just like that. So now that I saw that one and I think that one does much better, my too much gene is kicking in and I need to fix this side. Oh, the joys. Okay, like that. So there's a cut crease. That's how you do it. A lot of times, especially when you have such bold colors on the crease, and then a really light color in here, it definitely helps to put some liner on because it kind of just, I don't know, it kind of balances things out. You should try it because it's one of my favorite things to do now that I know how to do it. It does take practice and a lot of times you get discouraged, but it's one of my favorites. Concealer. What I use for concealer for my cut crease is, let me grab it here, super, super cheap e.l.f. This is the 16-hour Camo Concealer. This is actually a great Shape Tape dupe, and it works really nice for cut creases because it dries a lot quicker than most concealers. So it's easier to work with a cut crease. You don't have to worry about it creasing too fast before you can set it. That's why I really like this one. It's one of my favorites for cut creases. When it comes to the rest of my face, I like something a little more liquidy because my face tends to get really dry around my eyes. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean this up really quick. I'm just taking a wet wipe and just wiping this away. Yeah, it's e.l.f. 16-hour, or yeah, e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer. It's one of my favorites for this kind of stuff. I can do it with other concealers, but this is just so much easier to work with when it comes to how fast it dries. So you can see I just cleaned that up really quick. That's one of the reasons I love doing this before I do the rest of my face. So I'm going to go ahead and do the eyeliner while I'm here. And then I'll probably get off to finish everything else. And I'll show you guys my theme that I'm doing. If you guys want to take a guess based on the colors, I'll show you later. I'm hoping it turns out really good. It's going to take me a long time, so it might not even be exactly tonight before I show you, unfortunately. But I will try to do it pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and line. So if you want to watch kind of quickly how I do wing liner, you certainly can. I just got to find my brush that I want to use. Okay. I'm going to do it this kind of, well, I mean, it's wing liner, so it's not going to be kind of quick, I guess, but I probably won't be talking too much in between this because, again, it's a perfection thing. I got to make sure that they both line up super great. So I'm just taking this liner. If you're curious what I'm using for this, I like using the gel cream, what do they call this? Waterproof cream color from Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I like to use a really fine brush. This is actually a face painting brush I got with Snazaroo, but I love using it for liner, so that's what I do. So I'm going to go ahead and line this. And again, because I don't have my other face parts put together yet, I'm able to clean up any mess I make. I need way more gel on here though. Just like that. Okay. So I'm following the line that I already made by cleaning up. And I'm just gonna get this wing on here as quickly as I can. I'm still super slow with wings. I don't know if that's ever, like, I don't know how anybody can ever do it quick. It's just me. I can't ever do these things quick because I just want to make sure they're just right, but, you know. Some people are more skilled with some things than others. It's definitely a lot quicker than I used to be. I used to take so much longer. And I used to try to do it with the liquid liner. And some people are really great with that, with the felt tips or, you know, just whatever. But I couldn't ever get it. So I tried gel and I've really liked it. So you can see what I mean by just adding that little bit of black liner on there. It just changes the whole look. So that's kind of what I like to do, especially when I have such a drastic contrast in my shadows. I like to just kind of bring it all together with the liner. I'm doing a pretty thin line right now. Just because I don't want to have my oh gosh, why can't I remember it now? I don't want my chance to overdo it. I'm not going to try to perfect it to the point that I'm going to make it way fatter and fatter and fatter. I did see it. It turned out so cute on you, Stacy. I loved that look you did today. It's so funny because, like, sometimes I forget that I'm actually not bad with it, so then I stop doing it, and then I go and do it again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, this isn't as bad as it used to be. For me, my biggest issue is just making sure that they're even. Like, I can't ever seem to get them both going the right direction. Sometimes I get them going like this and then like that. It hasn't been so bad. Yeah, you could try gel. I mean, there's some people who are like, oh god, no, I can't do gel. And then there's others who are like, oh yeah, that's what I need. And I'm one of those people. I just like it, and especially with a fine brush, I feel like I feel like I have more control over it. So that's why I like it. I definitely suggest that you definitely look into getting super fine brushes if you're gonna do that. I know Suva Beauty, that's S-U-V-A, they do a lot of really cool like hydroliners where they glow in UV light. They have some nice fine brushes. This eye always sucks for me. It's always the one opposite of your dominant hand, right? It always takes me a little bit longer because I'm like having to move my arm in such a weird way. Just like that. Almost done. But this part at least. I'll be hopping off really soon here to just finish everything up. Okay, so that's the cut crease. I got the liner on there. I'll clean this up, get my look together, and then sometime later tonight I'll put a look up, otherwise it'll be tomorrow morning or something. But if you guys have any questions, you can message me or just comment on here and I'll answer them as I see them. Otherwise, I will see you guys all next week. All right, bye everybody.